Good morning, True Church. I'm with you today in the book of Philippians, and we're looking at chapter 1, verse 9. And remember, Paul is in prison at this moment. He's writing to the church in Philippi that he planted like 12 years ago, and he's probably still in prison. He was imprisoned in Philippi the first time, 12 years earlier, probably, and now he's probably in Rome. And probably in prison as well, or at homebound with chains. And I spoke of those yesterday. They're kind of being our backdrop of the things that we speak, being imprisoned as a prisoner for Christ. That's in the cross and the chains that are there. He says these words, though. I think they might have particular emphasis and even application to my life and yours as we're homebound. In this time that may be similar to what Paul is going through and as he's speaking to us. He says these words, "And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best, and you may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise to God." He's speaking about actually, I don't know if you ever considered this, but a wise love, an insightful love. The text actually says it multiple times in the Greek. It's really highlighting this idea of judgment or discernment, the ability to distinguish between what is best and what is pure. It seems that Paul, in the midst of, as he's in this homebound place, is saying that what I'm taking into my mind, what I'm allowing to go through in the process, and what I'm thinking, and how I might respond to others, there is a way to love with wisdom. There's a best way, or better way, to continue to love. And that's what he's speaking to, that out of my depth of love, my actions may be wise. I know I've spoken about this before, but oftentimes when I will see a person that might be homeless or in that situation, one thing I try to make sure I do is I don't seldom give them money. I seldom give them money. Not that I don't necessarily trust them, but I think there's a better way. And so often, if I have the grace to have time and space in my schedule, I've done this multiple times where if there's a person, let's go eat. Let me hear your story. And I think some of the dignity in that is even a better way to love. There's physical needs that need to be done, but we know, I think, even being in isolation and more, when we're not seen, some populations among us that are not seen or overlooked always, those who may be seen and may be, for the first time, quarantined and not able to have as much human contact or interaction or attention, might be able to feel or begin to feel some of those things that I think people that might be homeless or others that might be socially excluded. My sense is this, though, that there's a wise way to love. And so in the midst of what I'm getting to, and I think what Paul is getting to, is that we can be wise in the way, we can be discerning in the way in which we love. Like, how will this love the best? And that by discerning that isn't just like this experience that happens outside of me, as if it's just a cerebral thing, but it's actually mind formation. There is a forming that happens in my choices to love wisely. It actually develops a character in me as my posture habitually is turning itself to ask those questions. Right? So he's saying that because he's got in mind that because we might be blameless, so that we might be pure and blameless until the day of Christ. And then he speaks of righteousness that's just filling out and spilling out of us, this beautiful smellingness of what Jesus looks like, this actions and this right relatedness to God that gives glory and praise to God. So it's all connected for Paul in his mind. But his prayer is that we would be wise in our love. What does wise love look like for you today, this morning, or even the day before you? What does discerning love look like? Choosing what is best among maybe good options. Having the other in mind. We're going to get to that a little later this week. Having the other in mind. I wonder. I wonder for me, I wonder for you, what that might look like today. And I want to encourage you that wherever you find yourself today, as I say this often, that we would trust that God is in the midst of it. And I want you to know this too, that Paul brings this up 2 times. He brings it up earlier in verse 6. Being confident of this, that he, the one who began a good work in you, will carry it to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. And then also the second one that says that you may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ Jesus. He keeps saying this until the day of Christ Jesus because his day, today, is formed by his belief in the ultimate day when Jesus will return. I wonder how your wise love is shaped in light of the hope of Jesus' return. Paul, during this time of quarantine, during this time of hardship, had the day of Jesus before him, even as a day that he was longing toward. May today be a day that you also hold that day in front of you, when Jesus returns and restores all things to the way that we deeply know it needs and should be. This coronavirus would be gone. All viruses are gone. And I cannot wait until that day. But until that day, we will live in anticipation and look longingly toward that and look with loving discernment, wisdom, as the way we can interact with each other during that time. Grace and peace for the rest of the day. Bye for now.